Sound crazy.
We'll talk about it more.
Hello.
Got some candles.
Have some candles.
Yes. Do you have any scents that you prefer?
Do I have a what?
Like a scent you prefer?
What scent do you have?
Whichever scent that is gonna make Reva O'Neal really happy.
Hello. Do you have any scents you prefer?
Nope, pick me one. How come he got a jar and I just got this?
Do you want a jar? I just want to
I got flavor on me. That's why. So you didn't like that.
Oh, I got the jar. I got a jar. You got a whole.
Hello. Do you have any scents you prefer?
See what my choices are.
This is cranberry apple. Here's another coconut one.
Yeah. I can all use streaks.
I've not heard about it.
This one does smell good.
It's amazing.
Okay.
That one?
And I don't mean to be rude, but we need to get started.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Welcome. If everybody would rise and join me in a moment of silence. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Call roll. I'm present. Dr. O'Neill.
Present.
Mr. Heater's out. Dr. Bales. Mrs. Barnes-Griffin.
Present.
Mr. Irvin.
Present.
Mr. Lowe.
Present.
Thank you. We will launch right into presentations. Mr. Beasley, are you ready?
Well, members of the board, good evening. Welcome to our campus. That's what I like to call it when you guys are here. It's, so here to talk tonight about the Muncie Area Career Center and just kind of highlight a few things going on at the MAC at this time. So to jump right in, first thing I want to do is talk a little bit about what's new at the MAC this year. So first up, I want to talk about our EMT program, which is technically not brand new, but it is this year, the first year we've run the EMT program as a standalone program. And very proud of definitely the growth that we've seen in the program, especially in the students. Last year we had 5 students, which was kind of our pilot group for EMT. This year we have 14 students enrolled in the program. We've also added college credits from Ivy Tech into our curriculum, and this program is actually kind of co-taught by our EMT instructor and then one of our health science instructors to make sure that students have access to that college credit. And right now we're looking at 16 students signed up for next year, so we're very optimistic about the direction of our EMT program. Another one of our health science programs that has also really come online this year is the Certified Clinical Medical Assistant program. So this is actually, these are second-year health science students, so we have a pre-nursing pathway. In the first year, those students do the Certified Nursing Assistant or CNA program, and in the second year, they advance to the CCMA program. This has been a great opportunity for our students, especially because we've built out a clinical rotation where the students actually rotate through a partnership with Open Door. They actually rotate through different offices as that are all part of Open Door. And so they get to kind of see different aspects of those operations from the perspective, of course, of a medical assistant. So in this program, we had 5 students this year. We have 5 students right now for our second year program. Next year, we have 14 kids who are signed up. So that program is growing. We're excited to see that. We think it's going to be a great launching pad for students who are really wanting to pursue those careers in healthcare. We have also continued to add dual credits and certifications. So this year, we have students in early childhood, criminal justice, welding, automotive, and electrical. And all of those programs, they're all earning more college credit in this year's program than they were in previous years. A lot of that is due to a really strong partnership that we have with dual enrollment through Ivy Tech Community College. So we're very grateful and appreciative of our partners at Ivy Tech. They're always looking for ways that we can create more opportunities for our students. And that has really paid off in those programs this year. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our new assistant director at the MAC. Miss Rhonda Ward, who's not so new to us at this point in the school year. But she's come on board and she's just done an awesome job working with our students, our families, and teachers. And, you know, I know that comes as no surprise to anyone in this room, anyone who's known Rhonda, but I just want to say I'm just super grateful for the opportunity to work with her every day. She's been awesome for our team. The next kind of looking forward program that we're offering next year is really a revamp of some of our advanced manufacturing pathways that we've worked with in the past. And this is the Muncie Delaware Advanced Technologies Academy, or MDATA. So this is really a very unique opportunity for us. As I say on the slide there, we've had this kind of rock star group coming together about every month and a half of manufacturing partners, post-secondary partners, community organizations who are really trying to rebuild this pathway for students. You know, in addition to the classroom and lab training students will receive, we also have in the first year of the program, we're going to get the kids on site. They're probably going to be rotating around 7 to 8 different manufacturers here in Muncie and Delaware County, and getting that hands-on experience really one day a week. They're going to be out. So we're really trying to get them in the field as much as possible. Our manufacturing partners have committed to that. Our manufacturing partners have also committed to providing embedded trainings within those internships. And in their senior year, the kids will be out. They'll actually be out for an extended paid internship with local manufacturers. So we think it's going to be a great opportunity for our students to really learn all about opportunities that are here, that are local to us here in Muncie and Delaware County, and that again can kind of give them that springboard to figure out what they want to do after graduation. Another new program that we'll have is software development. So I don't think I need to tell anyone just how important software and computer applications are to our everyday lives. And one of the things I love about this pathway is that it touches every other pathway, and that's only going to expand as we move forward. At the bottom there, I've put some figures there from the state. Average salary in this field is $91,900 a year. 10-year projected openings in Indiana alone are 22,000. So for this field, that's a 22% projected 10-year growth in the field of software development. So knowing that, we knew that this was something that we needed to facilitate for our students. And so we have started recruiting. I think we have at this time 14 students signed up for our software development program next year, and we're really excited to see where that goes. So I want to share a little bit about our enrollment trends. So as you can see, from 2019-2020, we've had some pretty steady increases up to, at the beginning of this school year, almost 400 students enrolled in the Career Center. As of right now, we have 500 students who have applied and been admitted to the MAC for next school year. So we are very excited about that growth. Obviously, that kind of growth comes with challenges, but I'm confident that our team and our current students are ready to meet those challenges. We really have kind of developed a philosophy of we know the value that CTE can bring to young people and the life experiences that they get when they're with us. And we want to make sure that those experiences are accessible to as many students as possible. I really credit our teachers, I credit our students and our families for all the hard work they do. I also, credit leadership here in Muncie Community Schools. And I have to give a shout out also to leadership in our other sending high schools who have really gotten behind career and technical education and are supporting what we're trying to do. And we're seeing that, again, with growth in our program. So we're very excited about that. I just want to share a little bit with you about just a couple of quick questions that we ask our students, just kind of give you a snapshot of MAC students and where they want to go next. So the first one just asks, what do you plan to do right after high school? And as you can see there, I think 33% of our students, they plan to go to college. 36% plan to join the workforce. Another 13% they plan on working while they're going to college. We have 7% enlisted in the armed forces, and then we have a 11% other. That's part of them. They're not sure quite yet, so they're kind of figuring that out. But I think it's important to see this. I think we always want our students, when we go out and we talk to prospective students, we talk about career and technical education. It's not for any particular type of student. It can be for any student. You can be 4-year college bound, 2-year college bound. You can be someone who wants to be in the military. You can know that you're going to go right out of high school and you're going to start welding. It really doesn't matter. You can find something in CTE that is really exciting and meaningful to you, and help you kind of develop your potential in a lot of different ways. Another question, this is kind of a simple one, but we asked them, do you plan to pursue a career that is related to your MAC class? And as you can see, I think almost 84% of our students said yes, they do plan to pursue a career that's related to their MAC class. So, that's partly a testament to the students. They come here, a lot of students come here knowing, hey, like, I'm passionate about carpentry, I'm passionate about nursing, or I'm passionate about being a firefighter. So they know they come here for that. But we also have a lot of students who come here and they're really trying to figure it out, right? They think they have an idea of what they want to do, but they're really not sure. But I think that percentage there is just a testament to the quality of the training and the instruction that our kids are getting from our staff, and just also a reflection of the quality of the overall MAC experience. So we're very proud of those figures as well. So I'm going to stop there. I'm very proud of obviously the accomplishments of all of our kids and our staff. They're all doing just a fantastic job, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Anybody questions?
I have a quick question. You mentioned about the growth, like 500 students coming in, and you mentioned just generally the support that you've gotten. Can you attribute that to something specific, you think, in terms of the numbers that are going up like that?
I don't know about anything specific. I do think, one of the things that we've talked about is historically, concerns about a stigma around career and technical education. And I do think there's been a lot that's happened. And some of this happens at the state level here in Indiana, where there has been a real push to make sure that students and parents and guardians understand that there are a lot of opportunities in fields that are traditionally associated with technical education. A lot of opportunities, not just to get a job, but to actually build a career. And so I think part of it is, I think that message is really kind of getting through to folks now, where they're seeing that value. I think also our ability to include industry certifications, to include college credit. Most of our programs, students are also earning college credit while they're at the Career Center. So I think that makes, helps people understand that you're not locked into one specific, next step. You leave the Career Center, you leave high school with lots of different options and opportunities in front of you. And I think that people are seeing that now.
If I may, Caleb won't say this about himself, right? But Caleb does an exceptional job of reaching out to our school at the Central with the students and the principals, and works closely with the counselors in all the other area schools as well. He's put a lot of time and effort into the documents he shares. He's created videos. He builds great relationships. I hear from the other superintendents that they'll see Caleb at some of their kids' sporting events, or, so Caleb not only builds relationships with the kids there from Muncie Central, but all the kids that attend his school, and that reputation gets out. They trust Caleb, and they're trusting Rhonda, and more people are encouraging folks to go to the MAC.
That's great. That's great.
So of the 500 students, what percentage of those are coming from surrounding districts?
Okay, so that's a good question. Probably, I have to do mental math, Mr. Williams, that's not fair. Probably about 65%, I would say. 65 to 70% are from other schools, from Delaware, Randolph, and then also Blackford High School sends students to us as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so definitely Muncie Central is our largest school, and it is also the largest share of our student body come from Muncie Central.
Well, I have anecdotally been any number of places in the city and had people, students and parents, tell me really good things about the MAC, the experience they were having as students or their children were having and how they felt prepared to go out and enter the workforce. So thank you. I mean, I think the work
Yeah.
you're doing is first rate.
Yeah, well, like I said, all that credit really goes to our teachers and our staff. They're working with the kids every day, just doing their absolute best to prepare them. And, you know, and also to, as we move forward, you know, we talked about new programs, kind of evolve our programs too, to make sure that we're meeting that need of the kids, but then also of those opportunities that are out there, not just today, but tomorrow. So
What's your most popular program?
our most popular program, health science, pre-nursing, and carpentry are probably our two most popular, with welding coming in probably third.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
And I also appreciate how Rhonda is really working to make the MAC as diverse as possible, working at Central, encouraging other students to participate. And I've heard from students that that's making a difference also.
Absolutely. Yeah, we also, just this year, under Ms. Ward's direction, we've pulled together a student advisory board of minority students, and trying to get their perspective on what we do at the Career Center, but then also really to try to make sure, asking them, hey, how can we make sure that this program that we're offering here is appealing to other students from similar backgrounds? Because we want to make sure, again, that it is absolutely accessible to all, that it's inviting to all. And yeah, Rhonda's been hugely instrumental in that work.
I know my daughter, she'll be a junior next year. She signed up to come and do pre-nursing. So
Great.
thanks to Ms. Ward and you.
Great.
She's really excited
Awesome.
about
That's
that.
great. That's great.
Any questions? Any further questions?
No, but I would like to add thank you, because I will tell you, the challenge for us in Ball State is finding skilled trades, people who want to come in and work, and it's getting worse. So thank you for drawing students in, because you're exactly right. It's a good occupation if you want to get in and work with your hands.
Yeah,
So thank you.
Anything you need?
Careful now. No, I mean, I like, the board, the leadership team here in Muncie has been hugely supportive. I do think, one of the things we're going to look at is when we talk about numbers increasing, I think we got things figured out for next year, but if these trends continue, we're going to be looking at new partnerships. Like I said, we do a lot of great partnership work with Ivy Tech. We might be looking at new partnerships with other school districts, with employers, and doing things like that. So I think just, having open minds and open hearts when we are trying to create those opportunities for kids and expand what we do for kids, that's all I'd ask right now.
Okay.
Now my teachers are gonna, get on me tomorrow and say, why don't you ask for this, 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 and this? But that's what I got for right now. So,
Okay. Well, no, I mean, it's a serious question.
yeah, I know it is. Yeah. Yeah.
And if there are things that you need that you think would be an effective asset for our students, then let's talk about it. And obviously, the economy is evolving and changing at a pace that none of us really have ever seen before. So there's jobs that are going to exist 5 years from now that none of us really can foresee.
Right.
And I do think your offerings are really, really very, very, very thorough and broad.
Yeah.
So I would think it's something that if I was a young person and wanted to prepare myself to enter the workforce, it would certainly be high on my list.
Yeah.
Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Beasley.
Thank you.
Crossing.
Mr. Williams, if I could just give a little pretext as Ryan and his team are coming up and setting up. So, man, it was about this time last year, we started having some conversations about trying to find just some additional opportunities for our students that were struggling, or that we predicted were going to be struggling to finish, get across that finish line at high school. We were taking a look at our graduation rate for 2022 and saw some decreases there. Looked at 2023, anticipated some additional decreases. Just, I think we're still feeling that COVID bubble come through our school district. So we began to research successful alternative opportunities for students. What do those models look like? What are folks doing and seeing success? So we just started looking. We started doing research, and we came across the Crossing, and reached out to them about what they were doing and how they were having success. So I guess before Ryan kicks off, I want you to know that it wasn't a carpetbagger type of salesman that came in to pitch this to us. We saw their results and saw they were having success, and wanted to have some conversations about it. So I don't want to steal any of their thunder about they've been around for almost 20 years, I think. They're on 20 campuses across the state. We vetted pretty well. We checked references not given to us by them, right? Everyone checks the references they list, but when you go to that second level of who knows who, then you begin to figure out what's really going on. And we did all those things. So we feel really good about a possible partnership with the Crossing, but wanted to get them in front of you. They are a much better teller of their offerings than I could be. So we asked the Crossing and Ryan and his team to come in. I feel like I know Zach and Adina and Don. We've had several conversations and been to several classrooms and watched folks teach and just the kiddos in action. And it was a neat experience. So Ryan?
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. Thank you, board. Dr. K, thanks for having us tonight. It's exciting to be here. I'm Ryan Hill. I'm the CEO of the Crossing School of Business and Entrepreneurship. I will say it's nice to be home. I'm a 2007 Ball State grad. We have our board member here, Lyle Fiesel, tonight, also a Ball State grad. What year was that, Lyle?
Forget it.
We have Don Crouch, who works in development, Jared, our director of character education, Jared Camp. We have our graduate Dakota with us. We also have Miss Adina with us and Zach Durnell, and you'll hear a bit from them in a minute. The Crossing is a not-for-profit high school, and we're in 10 cities in Indiana, and we serve about 800 students annually. We are invited into communities, so I appreciate you sharing that with us. I think it works best when a school district has gotten themselves into a position that you are currently in, and then just needs a little bit of additional support, and that's what we're here to do. Tonight, we'll highlight our Anderson partnership. I think it's good to know we have leadership here locally, and this school would fall underneath that existing leadership. So why do you have candles and dog treats in front of you, is the question. So those are products that were produced by our current students from around the state of Indiana. So the dog treat product was brought to market from our Anderson location. So that's an exciting component. And then the candle company is called Spark Ignite Your Life. And that's a storyline that continues and provides purpose, provides lots of business management, employability skills, and things like that in that school-based enterprise that the students operate around the state. So I want to, just to kind of tell our story, I just want to stop for a second and think about this meeting 1 year from now. So 1 year from now, I want you to imagine with me that your Muncie teens, those that we hopefully get to serve, will be here, and they will have built the following story, and I think that story would go something like this based on what we're seeing around the state. So imagine that a senior, Julio, stands up. He's about to graduate. He describes his journey of falling behind early in school, finding trouble with so-called friends in the street, giving up, and eventually dropping out during the pandemic and writing off school entirely. His mom is connected to the Crossing through a former counselor who still thinks about him and the fact that he has potential. Julio proceeds to share that he successfully completed a pre-apprenticeship program with a local company and all of his graduation requirements at his cohort deadline. Julio has a career placement with the same company where he can add value. Julio will stay local here in Muncie. The students that we serve typically do that. And then he'll tell you that he's now living his life with purpose. We'll then have a junior take the stage, right here from Muncie. Janae will take the stage. Imagine Janae. She was supposed to be a junior, but somewhere along the line, things fell apart for her. It all started when her mom's boyfriends abused her, when she was just trying to sleep in her room so she could go to school where she loved to learn, to read, and to learn about science. She felt safe and loved by her teachers at school, but eventually the abuse took its natural course. She became depressed and withdrawn. She narrowly escaped being trafficked when her so-called friends offered her a way out and some fast cash. The crossing was given her address by the Muncie team, and when we visited her home, she answered the door. That was the beginning of her transformation. She then shares with you that as an innovator, her goal with the crossing was to design a product that she sets in front of you, a prototype that she's going to produce her senior year. She collaborated with local business owners, and the Maker Force trained her on equipment, and she excelled at that because of her love for STEM, learning, and reading. Her smile is still sheepish, but you can tell that she's connected to something bigger. So if I didn't share anything else, that's what we do at the crossing. So that's the story, that's the outcome that we're after. I'm going to jump into some official sort of specifics and data, but in essence, we would like to be part of the story of struggling teens in your community. This is kind of how the school gets set up from our freshmen through our seniors. We talked about those innovators and contributors. I want to stick to my timeline, but a sophomore may come next year, and make sure you're following their Facebook page because they're responsible for storytelling. And I use some of these terms loosely, sophomore, junior, senior, because we all know that those challenges, many of our students are behind when we start to work with them. Our vision is transforming lives through education by focusing on the heart and the mind. And our mission is to empower struggling students to become contributing members of Muncie through academics, job training, career and technical ed, and faith-based character education. Our mission really divides, double clicked there. I think talking about the problem globally, I think that's probably already been done a lot. I think, focusing on where the solutions are, but I will say that we do see the crisis of depression, anxiety. We see the crisis of no plan after graduation. We see the issues related to skills, the skills gap, both employability skills and hard skills for employment. And those are some of the things that we target. And we know that it's very, very costly to the community if those things aren't developed along the way, and especially at that high school level. We do talk a lot about, we don't fix everything, certainly, right? And so, what are we focused on and what are we after? And we'll show some outcomes data there. But we're state accredited, again, not-for-profit, offered Indiana diploma, individual success plan, self-paced, small group setting. Our job training, we are, at the time, the only private school in Indiana that is a career and technical ed eligible provider. So we work right alongside with your high school, area employers, the Career Center, to expand capacity to students that may not be able to make it into those programs currently, may not have a vision for those programs, maybe they're filtered out based on past performance. And so we come in and try to expand the capacity of those programs. We also are a faith-based program. We have our faith-based character education program, and that's based on our motto of RELIT, and relationships, empowerment, love, integrity, and truth. I want to talk a little bit about that faith-based character focus. That happens in something called family time. Family time is where our students talk about life. So they sit kind of in a circle without the desks, but the chairs. It's a little bit like 30 minutes of talk therapy with your crossing family, we call it. And family time is really why the crossing is successful in creating hope and vision for a student in their lives. The topics that we discuss are just general sort of life topics, character development topics, employability, skill development topics. And our instructors do offer guidance from a Christian perspective. So we are a Christian staff, unapologetically. But that does not mean that the stuff that we share is ever forced upon a student. They don't have to make any decisions or anything like that. It's just simply, this is our anchor, and this is how we run our school. The impacts of that program are really dynamic. We have seen over space and time in our surveys roughly 50%, some goes higher, some goes slightly lower, in reductions of drug use, violence, and improvements in student self-concept. So we have a lot of success with our character programming. I want to talk a little bit about the Indiana GPS, Graduates Prepared to Succeed. We are focused on competency-based skills. And so you can kind of see in these charts, maybe the ones that are on your table. Just want to highlight a couple of things, just to give context for how well students that have fallen behind or struggling can perform. So like what is the most struggling student capable of in the context of being offered a new environment, a new structure, a new way of maybe being, right, at the high school level? What does that look like? So a couple of examples of that are that our 2019-20 cohort, which is some of the most recent data we can get, saw that the crossing students a year out outperformed all students in the state of Indiana on median wage. And that's students that, again, you know, maybe it was dropout prevention, maybe it was dropout recovery, maybe it was just some struggle with anxiety and depression, maybe it was they didn't fit in the building, but are doing a great job. Over the course of time here, we go right at the state average, between 80 and 85% of students that are employed a year out, the 3 E's, employed, enrolled, enlisted. And interestingly, economically disadvantaged Hispanic and English learner students are our highest performing populations internally. So we're really excited about this GPS data. We feel like it validates much of the work that we've done over the last 10 years to structure and set up programs. I want to talk a little bit about our sustained employment rate. It's very interesting that the students that we serve, when they graduate, they are working at twice the state average of other students. So when they grab three-year trends, 5-year trends, our students are operating at 44%. As you can see there, and the state average is 22%. There's a lot there to unpack, but I think what it shows is that our students are hardworking. They want to work. They want to be successful. I think it's our job to figure out how to connect those dots, especially to break the poverty cycle. What do those skills and connections look like in order for them to be able to do that? Last thing, we use the Marzano high reliability model. For any educators in the room, that's the model that we feel best gives us the best opportunity for our students to be successful, and we really try to get to the competency-based level with our school. So it's really about the precise, specific skills that students need in order to be successful, and we really have to build a relationship, have a low ratio, and drive down to that level. So 9th through 12th grade, that's what we do. We tend to serve more juniors and seniors. Okay, enough for me. At this time, I'm going to pass it off to Zach Durnell. We're excited to introduce our local team here, and I have the utmost respect in their leadership. One of the Crossings expansion philosophies now is that, and this has been the case now for many years, is that we are invited into communities, and then also the new location will tuck into, so it has to kind of be geographically close to a current location, would tuck into our current leadership, and then they would oversee this location for a period of time that's long enough for this Muncie community to be able to stand on their own and then maybe go beyond that. So it's a much different expansion model if you're familiar with us historically. So learned our lessons in terms of expansion and how to do that well. Zach, you're up.
All right, just by a show of hands, would you guys mind revealing how many people in here really even know much about the GPS dashboard? Okay, so a few of you. So as he's mentioning this GPS dashboard, it stands for Graduates Prepared to Succeed. And so for the longest time in our country, but for the state of Indiana, we've been focusing and flexing our muscles on students that are passing standardized testing, whether that's ISTEP, ACT, SAT, college placement. And that stuff is wonderful, but state data shows, right around 50% of our students are one way or another, whether they're going to the workforce or to post-secondary education. And so with the students that are checking off, it's somewhere in between 30 and 40% of students statewide are checking off that they are going to the workforce, and of a percentage of that, they're saying, I'm even undecided. I'm not sure if I'm going to take the summer or a year off to just get to know what it feels like to be an adult or what have you. But it's time for all of us to come together, the Crossing and us as a community, to flex our new muscles to say, hey, what are we doing to pre-train and onboard these students and prepare them for their post-grad placement? And then to say, we're not just giving these students a diploma, we are placing these students post-graduation. So there's that very specific, tiers of students. Top tier being your students who are going to go to college, that middle tier probably being more of that max student. I know specifically I'd like to go into nursing, welding, I want to be a fireman and policeman. Then you've got that bottom 30 who we're here to help you guys kind of enhance and support those programming efforts for those students. So right here on this slide, you see our list of employability skills. This was built off of Indiana's 18 employability skills. Things like communication, problem solving, teamwork, work ethic, and having great attendance. We teach, train, and track students' understandings and their ability to demonstrate these skills, as we believe this is some of the most critical information that they will take away from our program and into the workforce. As Ryan mentioned earlier, you can imagine our students inside of a training environment, whether that's our school-based enterprise or whether that's out in the community deployed into a business partnership. Our students are going to be partnered or accompanied with a career pathway instructor. So we have a instructor that goes with us from our location into different business settings in your community to validate that these students are executing and performing these competencies in which you see on the screen right here. We just find that when our students begin to find some purpose in their hands and in their work, that you begin to see a sense of healthy pride and even competition inside the house. And so I just want to share 2 quick stories before I cap this off. But we had a student, I don't know, it was about coming up on 2.5 years ago. I'm not going to say his name, but he was a real squirrel, did not hardly ever attend class. He rarely came to school. And then over Christmas break, his best friend was shot and killed. And he wasn't taking part in any of our job training program. Like I said, he barely showed up to school. And actually, Ms. Adina and I ran into this kid at the funeral. And we were not there to talk about school or to scold him from why is your attendance percentage this low, yada, yada, yada. We were just there to love and support our Crossing family during that trying time. So lo and behold, this student actually comes back to school the following week, and he enrolls into our Gaylor Electric program in Noblesville. So this is an Anderson student. We take students to that location a couple times a week. So this student hops on the van twice a week, and he goes to our Gaylor Electric program. Within a year of that, so as Ryan mentioned earlier as well, we have each region has their social media pages. So then you start friending students and their families, and they're messy. So you see a lot of what they're showing, the world and things that they're doing. It's pretty crazy that they are so incriminating. But this particular individual, I thought it was the sweetest thing in the world, because they're out in the streets doing all the things that they do, knowing how to make fast cash. But the one thing that he wanted the world to see and what the world to know was he was on there in his Gaylor hard hat, his vest. He had appropriate PPE on. Now, he did have his phone, and he was taking a picture of himself in the bathroom at work. But I just thought that was the sweetest thing in the world, that a lot of our kids haven't got to hit that game-winning layup or free throw or catch a touchdown pass or even just be a part of any team. So for the first time in a long time, they've been failing, historically in the public school setting. Not to knock that, but just to say they've not had success in school and probably haven't been a part of a team in a really long time, if not ever. And so to be able to see these kids like Dakota, come from a large deficit to be one of the star interns in our Bark Bites program and to be on the marketing team and work with our marketing director at corporate, it's just an amazing thing to see when you start adding value and purpose to these students' lives. All right, so next, I'm going to share a little story, about our Frankfurt location. And so this comes from, I believe, economic development, workforce development in the area. But so when we came to town in 2005, there were no other alternative programs or none that they were having success with. They were spending close to $250,000 annually with plans to spend $1 million the following year. So within that time that the Crossing arrived, which they regularly, the Frankfurt location serves anywhere between 80 to 100 students regularly. those programs were able to exponentially lower those annual expenditures and continually sustain those statistics. They currently boast a 90% attendance rate. They have 43 graduates in the last 12 months. They're averaging 6.7 credits per student a semester, which is almost 2 credits more than what's expected, which is 5 a semester, 10 a year. So incredible location there. And then as, again, Ryan mentioned, Adina's here from our Anderson campus. Adina will be moving into an operations role, so she will still continue to support Gaylor and Anderson as she already has. We've been dear friends and colleagues for some time, so I'm really excited to be able to have Adina here with us supporting this effort here in Muncie. And so I'll bring her up to the podium to introduce herself and then Dakota. So thank you.
Thank you.
As he said, I'm Adina Jacobs. You're like, she's out of slides. I don't have any slides. I'm just here to tell you how excited I am about the crossing. I currently work predominantly at the Anderson and the Noblesville campus. The Noblesville campus is inside of Gaylor Electric, as he was talking about. This is a surreal moment. My very first teaching moment assignment a few-ish years ago was Cowan High School. So I feel full circle. I'm kind of on the same road that I started my teaching journey. And when I worked in foster care, Delaware County was my biggest placement. So I was in a lot of the community schools, meeting with my kiddos through foster care. So I feel super excited. I'm predominantly in Anderson and Noblesville right now, but I'm excited to spend a lot of time back in this community where I've been in the past. So I could tell you 1,000 stories about students, but I'm going to bring up a student in just a second. But I do want to say what's so exciting about the crossing. I know we hear a lot what's different. I think sometimes we think that similarities are bad, but the foundation of all of our students is a similar need. They want to graduate, they want to find a job, they want to be successful. And the differences are where we meet unique traits of each student, and that's what makes us exciting. So I'm a certified teacher that also this morning was learning how to put couplings on a project for Gaylor Electric. I have no idea what GFCI cables were before this year, but I was in work boots and jeans this morning getting dirty. And then tomorrow I'll be talking to the students about the foundation of following rules and regulations, which is super fun. They love that. And then last week I was talking about human trafficking and how to recognize signs so that we can see those in our own students. So every day is different, and that's what makes us beautiful. And every story that Ryan gave you is a story that we see. We hold their hands, we go to their funerals, we go to their baby showers way too early. Hopefully eventually we go to their weddings and their graduations, and we help them find jobs, and then we track them afterwards. So the day they graduate, they're not done with us. Dakota graduated a few years ago, and she's not done with us, right? Last year, so she's still with us. And so that's one of the beauty is that 2 years later, we still know where those students are. If they need help, they still have our cell phone numbers. They know how to reach us. We're not just a high school that ends when they graduate, we're a high school that tracks them for life. And so there's a lot of things that come into that I'm super excited about in that. And so I want to introduce a living example of a lot of the stories that I could tell you that make me absolutely love my job. And that is Dakota, who is one of our, she's super, super nervous. So she's just going to talk to you for just a couple of minutes about what made her journey just a little bit different, because we can talk all day because we love being teachers, but she's a living example of what has actually happened through the crossing.
Hello, I'm Dakota. I graduated in June of 2022. I want to first of all say, I always tell people the crossing is not your average high school. We're a family. It is very close-knit. Like Ms. Vivian said, we have their numbers. We can call them at any time and we know that. My story started, I'm a very bubbly person. I love to talk, it's my thing, I'm really good at it. And I went through a very drastic major event in my life in high school as a junior. And it took me from being a very bubbly person and very outgoing to being a shy, depressed, anxiety-filled girl. And that school district necessarily didn't help me get the resources I need. And so I dropped out. I was like, whatever, I'll just go get a job. And I was drugged to a Bible study by my mom. And I met one of our former teachers, Shannon Martin. And she talked about this great place where you could do your school as you would like, in your own pace. Talk about faith and talk about God and be real and be open. And I was like, this sounds like a place I might need to be. And so I went and I met Darnell and I met Adina, and as soon as I walked in the door, I felt like home. Like Darnell jumped up and he was like, "Hey, how are you? You're gonna be our next," like, and he was just excited, and Miss Adina just embraced every bit of me. And it took me a while to get through some of the things I was struggling with, but ultimately in my senior year, I was given the opportunity to take an internship with Bark Bites Bakery. And I led Bark Bites Bakery through and through. I've seen this project completely through the top. I went home with dog food, treat stuff in my clothes, bedded in my shoes. It's honestly like my baby. And I love doing it, and I love teaching the kids, like, this is what we're doing. This is something that you made me to be proud of. That you can walk home and say, I'm a part of something. And that's what I needed when I was looking. And
Tell them what you do now.
yes, and in that internship, I found it out I wanted to be a teacher. I was like, I don't know what age I want to teach. I don't know what I want to do. But I am now an early education teacher. I have 14 2.5 to 4-year-olds every day that I love to just love them. The same love that I was given. I want to give them every opportunity that I was not given and make them better and contribute members of this society. So that's all I have. If you guys have any questions, I'll answer. Anything about Bark Bites?
Great job.
Thank you.
All right, open it up for questions.
Anybody have any questions?
Thank you for potentially the extra time there. I appreciate that.
No, we appreciate it. I assume the board will have an opportunity to discuss this downstream.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have an update from our educational transformation team.
Hi, everyone. My name is Adam Jones with Skybound Education, and this is my colleague, Dr. Dale Werner. We have the privilege of supporting Muncie as it works to transform primary literacy outcomes at 3 of your elementary schools. So I wanted to provide a brief update. Of course, Dr. Kwiatkowski and Mr. Williams are on this body, and they could probably share wonderful updates as well. Let's start with who's included in this incredible opportunity. 3 of Muncie's elementary schools received a competitive 4-year grant worth over $8 million. We are coming at the end of the first year, which has been focused on planning, and the next 3 years will be about taking all of those great plans and putting them into practice. So who serves on this education transformation team? We have representation from Ball State, of course. We're really grateful for that. By 5, the George and Francis Ball Foundation. They've been really key in bringing a lot of data to the table and bringing insights from their work around the country and their Strive Together network connections. The Heart of Indiana United Way, Meridian Health Services, of course, MCS, and YMCA of Muncie. Dr. Kwiatkowski, I don't think I left anyone out, did I?
I think that looks good.
So as I mentioned a moment ago, this first year has really been about planning. That's the way the grant is structured, and we've accomplished a lot in these first few months. We've drafted and crafted 5 implementation priorities that respond to the needs on the ground in Muncie. I'm going to talk through those in just a moment. We've established some leading and lagging indicators of our progress, which the state has codified as performance goals. We have very detailed project plans, which we call our implementation timeline, and we are very close to finalizing our budget on how to use that $8 million the most effectively and sustainably, making sure that we decrease expenditures over the next 3 years so that we don't enter into a fiscal cliff situation. So what are those implementation priorities? It starts with our youngest learners. So the data in Muncie, I'm sure I don't need to tell all of you, but for anyone that isn't aware, a lot of students aren't going to preschool, and those that do even are not quite prepared for kindergarten. So they're already starting behind, unfortunately. And so the first priority is to increase the number of seats available in pre-K dramatically. About 130 seats we want to add to MCS. And we want to make sure that the programming and the teaching that occurs at those youngest grades prepare students so that when they enter kindergarten, they are ready. That's going to make a huge difference in not only their literacy achievement early on, but likely their life outcomes. The second priority is around making sure we have the best curricular resources available for teachers to leverage what we have learned through the science of reading, which is really a culmination of decades of research on the best practices of great readers. We could spend hours and hours talking about this subject, but suffice to say that Director White and her team and others reviewed lots and lots of different materials that are out there and consulted with, of course, vendors, but also other school districts. And we believe we've selected a wonderful program to move forward and a great opportunity to leverage to build students' content knowledge while they're developing foundational reading skills. The third priority is around student engagement and attendance. So chronic absenteeism, which is defined as missing about 10% of the school year, is a national problem. It's been an acute one in Muncie as well. 2 of the 3 elementary schools that were selected for this grant had chronic absenteeism rates over 40%. That equates to literally thousands of days of missed learning. And so we are putting a lot of resources in terms of personnel, barrier removal, and collaboration with community partners into getting students to school. And we're trying to be as creative as we can about that to support families to make sure that those young learners attend every day. We also want to make sure that students and teachers and families have the behavioral supports and pro-social behavior coaching that they need to remain in the classroom. So the fundamental thing we're trying to change here is making sure that students are staying in the room where their best learning opportunity will occur, because if they're down the hall in a different environment or if they're suspended, they're not as likely to develop those reading competencies that they need. And the 5th priority is to just do things very deliberately, strategically, but in an accelerated manner. And there's been a lot of research on the term remediation versus learning acceleration. And I think it boils down to this: all students deserve access to the good stuff, the good curriculum, the on-grade level material. And so we want to make sure that every student every day, yes, they're maybe getting some foundational support, some scaffolding to meet them where they are, but they need access to on-grade level material so that they have the best chance to thrive. There's also conversations in the ETT about some really innovative practices, which frankly may or may not take place in different levels. Some of that includes high dosage tutoring. There's a lot of research out there on that topic. Summer enrichment opportunities, not only at MCS buildings, but within the community, and possibly even changing the school day or school year. Again, more to come on that. And so what's next? The next 3 years will focus on taking these priorities and the detailed project plans that have been crafted for each of these and realizing them. And again, Skybound is just really, really grateful. Myself and Dale are really grateful to be a part of this work. It's a privilege, and we would be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions?
Yeah, a quick question. You talked about motivating, I suppose is the word to use, parents and kids to get to school. Can you give us some examples of what you do to do that? Do you reach out to the parents? What are some examples?
I think it's really multifaceted. I want to start from a place of saying, of course, all families want their children to be successful. Many do think school is important, but what's the transportation barrier? Maybe they got home at 3 a.m. from their shift job, and the student doesn't want to get up at 7 to come to school. We've talked about walking buses, so having a person from the school go out into the community and walk from house to house and pick people up. We've talked about getting smaller vans and transportation and sending another round out, calling from the school, making it very efficient, and saying, hey, we're coming to get them, we're stopping by again. But we also want to make schools engaging and as fun and as exciting as possible, so students are, driving that desire to go to school too. We've probably shared other ideas that I have slipped my mind at the moment.
Well, I think the discussions have been very fluid, in the sense that the whole nation is dealing with an absentee crisis and trying to figure out what works most effectively. But ultimately, what we talked about was how do we build, sustain, maintain relationships with families and caregivers in a manner that makes it more susceptible to addressing the absenteeism. And ultimately, it's going to have to be about I think that was our discussion, that it's ultimately going to have to be about those local relationships and that relationship of trust that enables us to then take that next step of being able to pick up the phone and call and say, you know, we're missing. So
you're establishing a bond with the
Right.
parents and the family. Got it.
yeah, I mean, I think that was the foundation that we've arrived at over the course of many, many discussions. But there are lots of, you know, frankly, lots of schools wrestling with this problem. And I don't know that anybody has the secret sauce just yet. Any additional questions? I would say that Daryl and Adam have been very faithful. They are really very diligent in getting materials back to us. The process is moving along. We have tonight on the agenda the literacy curriculum, which is there. We've expedited that. The board's going to look at ratifying. Teachers were very anxious to get it in their hands. We've talked about messaging as it concerns the literacy piece of this, and obviously the literacy part is, while we have the grant applying to the 3 schools here, that is system-wide, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're excited about that. Any additional questions?
Do you have any idea where these 130 pre-K seats will fit?
Mhm. So right now, Heidi walked through all of our schools with principals and identified where classrooms, each school could add another classroom, and they have that all ready to go. That would be for next year. Now, we just have, right now, it's, you know, time to be able to have parents get their kids signed up. So that will be the key.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. K.
Great. So that feeds right into what I want to share is it's registration week. And so if you are if you're going to become a kindergartner, please get to school for kindergarten roundup, as well as new parents can register, and existing families, it's a very quick 5-minute process just to update your information. And so all of our schools have some type of event this week to encourage families to get into the buildings and to register for next year. I wanted to share that Dia and John D. from Ball State University continue to offer Ball State and Ivy Tech students sub-training courses, and it's our way of trying to increase the number of subs that we have in our school. So thank you, Dia, for all of that work. This Thursday at Muncie Central High School, we have a college and career fair. I know Caleb was really instrumental in putting that together, and Chris assisted him. And so we're looking forward to that this week. This is also another busy week of having a lot of CAN meetings, Collaborative Action Network, through our partnership with George and Frances Ball Foundation. Just as a reminder, that is where we've identified metrics along the way: 3rd grade reading, or preschool, kindergarten readiness, 3rd grade reading, middle school math, high school graduation, post-secondary success, employment, and then social emotional learning and health. I think those are all the different CANs. Different members of the community or from Muncie lead them, and community groups come together to plan strategies and action steps, all to benefit our students. And so there have been quite a few meetings that have taken place this week. I also wanted to share that last week, Watasha, Brittany, and I attended the National School Board Association Conference. and attended many good informational sessions. And one of my highlights is being able to spend extra time with board members, so that was also fun. And so we have some good takeaways from that, and it's always good to hear from, from other states and other schools, some of their challenges, and then also some of the opportunities. So we always learn and take away. On Monday, there at Central High School at 6:30, there's an essay contest and the 2023 Personal Integrity Awards. We have 6 of our schools and 14 students that are going to be recognized as winners in some of those essay competitions. And then lastly, I learned today from the Indiana Department of Education that all of Muncie's schools have been accepted into the Indiana Literacy Cadre, and that is through the Department of Ed and through the Lilly Grant, where they are also supporting our work with literacy. And so we were happy to hear that we're going to be part of that cadre.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Any questions for Dr. K? Okay. No public comments? No? Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to the consent agenda. We have a number of items in the consent agenda. Any item raising questions for anyone? Any questions? If not, would entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Okay. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. On to the exciting part of the night. It's all exciting, isn't it, Mr. Jerome? So,
Thank you.
help me again, was it Mr. Lowe, Ms. Spales, and Mr. Heater?
Yes.
Who are our comp committee. And so Mr. Jerome is going to speak to the proposal for compensation adjustments and raises for our teachers.
Thank you. Yes, included in your board packet for consideration tonight is the compensation increases for the certified teachers for the next school year, for 2023-2024 school year. And what this would involve, number one, it would set the beginning teacher pay from $48,000 a year to $51,000 per year, which would mean all returning teachers would be receiving a $3,000 annual compensation increase. Also, too, if a certified teacher was rated as highly effective during this school year, they would receive another $2,000 raise. Or if they were rated effective, that would be a $1,000 raise. So that creates the opportunity for the range of teacher raises between $3,000 and $5,000 for a returning veteran teacher. Also still in place are the Teacher of the Year increase, which is $1,000 per year, plus the District Teacher of the Year, which is $2,000. So those are still in place, and those are presented to the board tonight and for consideration. Overall, this approximate cost of this wage increase is about $1,500,000. And of course, about $500,000 of that would hit the 2023 calendar year. But overall, we had several meetings where we came up with this and feel very comfortable with this presentation tonight for these increases for the teachers for next year.
Dr. Bales, do you wish to speak to it at all?
I think Brad and Christine did a really good job. We didn't have a lot of back and forth when we met, so I think teachers will be pleased.
Okay. Mr. Lowe, anything?
It was one of those where you say opportunity meets needs. We had the opportunity, we met the need, but I like the fact it's based upon some performance metrics. So I think the whole thing is just really a great opportunity for our teachers.
Any other board members wish to be heard?
How did you determine the increases? Like the 2,000, like how did you?
Sure. In some of those years past, if you remember, we had grouped raises together based upon years of experience and such. And we did not do that this time. We did not do that this time. Instead, we based it upon giving everyone the increase of $3,000 and then tying in the rest of it based on their evaluation, because we just felt like
it started to present a much clearer picture by basing it on the evaluation rating. We've done that for, like I said, 4 years in the past, which was done really as a catch-up, if you recall, trying to get people caught up, perhaps who had gone a number of years without an increase. And we felt like as those years continued to go by that we had done about all we could do in that particular area.
So I assume the comp committee was looking at this point, rewarding the performance.
That's the metric that was used, which I think is.
And Brad brings to us a dollar amount of here's what we can afford. And so then we take the amount that we can afford and we adjust it in different ways until we all believe that this looks like the best model we want to bring forward.
So for the benefit of those observing the meeting, we have 349 teachers who received the $3,000 raise. The evaluation highly effective, we have 100 of those 349.
We don't know yet. Those were old, that was.
Old numbers,
Yeah, because,
okay.
so that's going to be different this year
Okay.
because that helped guide us for understanding what
Okay.
it looked like in the past.
So I misspoke. Last year we had 100, so that would be indicative of obviously the possible trend. And last year we had effective of 166, correct?
And you'll see there were new teachers on there that this year they'll be in one of those buckets.
And the new teachers.
Because
who-
this year they'll have the new teachers that are on there will have an evaluation, so they'll be in part of either effective or highly effective,
And
most
that's,
likely.
and that's 83 teachers,
Yes.
correct? Okay. So the estimated total cost is 1.496 million. And I believe that this places us at the top of the pay scale in the area, right?
In
Okay.
East
so
Central
that's-
Indiana, it certainly does,
That's
yes.
exciting. Well done. Thank you to everyone who's been able to make this a reality. And any further questions? Before I start,
We want to recruit and retain our teachers, right? We want.
And we do here, as we do our process checks, compensation is important for teachers, but it's not the only thing that's important. And so we also are committed to keeping low class sizes. And so when we did our staffing this year, you'll see this year we have more teachers than we had in the past, and next year we'll even have some more teachers added to that. And so across all of our grade levels, we really keep a nice class size as well.
well, when we started this journey in 2018-19, the starting salary was $34,659. And that was the starting salary also in 2017-2018. So I'm very pleased with where we're going, the direction. It's very, very satisfying. So anything further before we take it to a vote?
So for if any teachers are watching, they know evaluations are due at the end of April, and so then teachers will know which bucket they'll fall in.
Yeah, I was going to go back. I was going to keep giving statistics from prior years. Just keep giving numbers from 13, 14, 14, 15. Okay. Hear a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you very much. We're on to Ms. White, I'm sorry. Curriculum adoption.
President Williams, members of the board, Dr. K, members of cabinet. As you heard Daryl and Adam mention during their presentation, through the educational transformation team, we looked at new curriculum options for our reading and ELA programs at the elementary level. We went through several presentations with different companies. We invited in some of our highly qualified teachers, our master teachers, principals to review these. We spoke with various other school districts in Indiana that have similar demographics and statistics as ours to see how the programs are working in their schools. And then each school and leadership team took the curriculums to their staffs to look at as well and to provide feedback. After that process, and bringing it back to the instructional leadership team, the front runner for curriculum is what's called CKLA through Amplify, and that is the program that we are recommending for approval this evening. CKLA is based in the science of reading, which you are all have heard before, but CKLA has a two-strand model. There's a skill strand and then a core knowledge strand that is a part of this. For example, imagine your second grader coming home talking about the ancient Greek civilization, talking about westward expansion. Imagine your fourth grader coming home talking about the American Revolution and Treasure Island. The text that is associated with CKLA is really rich in content and background knowledge that will spiral from kindergarten to first to second to third and fourth. So they start with the very basic content there in kindergarten, and then it just continues to advance along. But again, a big piece of that spiral is the skills strand, which is really hit hard in grades K through 3. And this is the phonics, phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, fluency, all of that to build a really good, strong foundation for our students. We think that this program has the ability to advance our students in the direction that we are wanting to take them, while also exposing them to those science and social studies rich texts.
Okay, any questions for Ms. White?
Just clarifying, this replaces Thompson now, right?
Yes.
And is this the curriculum? Tell us how you came to this curriculum.
Well, Daryl and Adam brought up several different types of curriculum, and we went through those, all the different, so it was just one of the ones. CKLA Amplify has been a leader in the science of reading as well. And again, we work with Dave Stevenson with Reading Futures, and he also spoke very highly of that curriculum. So we were very interested in learning more about that. We met with Obi Martin, who is the representative from CKLA, and CKLA is actually the curriculum that our dual language program is also currently using. I believe it's called Caminos, and it is the counterpart to the CKLA Amplify as well.
But then you put it into the schools and
Yes.
teachers had
Oh.
opportunities to review. Talk about
Yes,
that
absolutely.
process.
They brought us sample lessons for a couple weeks, and then some of our teachers were able to put that into play. The fourth grade teacher at Grissom Elementary said her kids could not get enough of it. They were just wanting more of that content that she was giving them. And when the content had ran out over the 2-week span, they were kind of like, well, now what are we going to do? So they really enjoyed it, and it was also spoken fairly highly at the other elementaries as well.
So the teachers have had a chance to review it and
Yes, all teachers have had an opportunity to review it. Not all have had an opportunity to put it into practice in their classrooms, but many of our instructional leadership team members have had that opportunity to put it into practice.
what has been the feedback from them?
Very positive, very positive. You know, with any curriculum, there are going to be changes that occur, and there's going to be a learning curve that first year. However, I am confident with some support that we will be receiving through the educational transformation team, that we will be able to equip our schools and master teachers with what they need to be successful with this program.
And as I understand it, the grant that we've received is going to fund about half of this replacement.
Correct.
And then we're funding the other half through
TBR, textbook
textbook.
rental fees that we still have this year.
Okay.
Probably not next year, but
Okay,
we'll
so-
see.
What does this curriculum offer that Fontes and Pinnell does not?
That's a great question. Fontes and Pinnell lacks a little bit on building that foundation for our kiddos in grades K through 2. So the phonics, the phonemic awareness, being able to sound out words. And so that strand of this should really enhance that. Also with CKLA, there's a very big writing portion that is very much embedded into their curriculum. So as they're reading about these things, they will also be writing about them too. So I would say the three big perks to CKLA are the skills strand that brings in that foundational piece that we are lacking, the content rich that they have, and then also that embedded writing. Because right now, Fontes and Manel can sometimes seem a little segmented, whereas this is not on day one, but eventually we hope is just all kind of spirals into one another. So you don't necessarily have, a reading block. It's just here is your curriculum, and it's going to just flow naturally with one another.
And Fontes.
People find this one is a lot more user friendly than Fontes and Manel.
And Fontes Manel is not going to meet the expectations of the
Science of
department,
reading,
science of reading, so.
Correct. We also reviewed, Adam and Daryl provided us with some resources that more researchers have dove into all of the different curriculums. So as we were reviewing those, we would also refer to some of this more in-depth research, and Fontes and Pinnell did not meet the standards of science of reading.
Okay. Any questions? It's exciting stuff. Excited. Would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Dr. O'Neill, and a very strong motion.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Latasha Barnes Griffin had a second over there. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Dr. Reynolds,
Yes, hey.
bringing it with
I'm gonna-
all the
Just going to
summer
try to
school.
bring it home tonight. I will try to move quickly. We have a lot of offerings and a lot of partnership opportunities for our kids this summer, so I'll try to move quickly through the PowerPoint. So we will, oh,
Go whatever speed you need to.
all right. So,
Go at a speed that's comfortable for you.
that's right. I know Dr. K's ready. She had a big mocha right before she came in here, so she's.
I told Chuck, he brought me a mocha from McDonald's, an iced mocha. So I said, you're in trouble at 2 a.m. when you wake up and you have 30 emails from me because I'm still wide awake. He will never do that again.
It was a large. I didn't know they make any other sizes than larges.
like-
I just thought everything was a large, but apparently.
Well, I took my second dose of Mucinex, so it's been a different experience for me. So, entirely different experience for me, but go ahead and work your way through it.
All right, all right. So our third grade reading camp, so we have had a couple iterations of the camp, trying to find the best fit for meeting our kids' needs. So we have a bit of a hybrid approach this year. So we're going to have it all school-based, with the exception of Southview, because they're under construction, but have it school-based and ran by the teachers in that building, with the support of the principals, helping with staffing and identifying, and of course identifying students. We believe that we have a pretty good model ready to go for summer. So at EWA, Longfellow, Northview, and Westview, we'll just run a shorter 4-day camp, but it will be a pretty intense camp ran by their teachers in third grade. Feel really good about the folks agreeing to do that. We've had a good response from the teachers, which is tough at the end of the year, right? They finish up the year and they're pretty tired. So for them to agree to do that, we're really excited. For Grissom and Southview, we're going to have a longer 2-week camp. We are going to host that at Grissom with construction at Southview. They're not going to have any power in that building for July, which is not a big deal, except that we need to get new access points, switches, phones, and security cameras. We have to get all of that done, and we'll take most of June to get all of that done before they lose power in July. So as much as we wanted to get it there at Southview, we just couldn't afford to lose that time. We wanted to make sure that building's ready to go when the school year begins. So there'll be no cost for students for the camp, of course, and we will use our IDOE summer school grant to cover that. The Camp Adventure Summer STEM and Literacy Camp, again, it's a partnership with Ball State for rising second graders rising to third. Second graders rising to third. We'll partner with Ball State. That's a Monday through Thursday camp. Again, no cost for our kids there. That will be covered through a summer learning loss grant that Ball State has received. We will again offer robotics camp. It's a shorter camp again this year, just that week following Memorial Day. We'll host that at EWA as we have in the past, centrally located. I believe we have two teachers ready to go for that. We're excited to get that going. And again, no cost to our students, and we'll cover that through the IDOE summer school grant. The newcomers summer camp, we're going to host these at Northside this year. So these are for our families new to the United States and of course to Muncie. Kelsey will help oversee that, but that of course will run Monday through Thursday, no cost for our students, and that is included in the ARSI or ARIS grant, not SI. I think it's IS.
And that runs the entire summer.
That runs the entire summer, yeah. I think there are 30 or 35 instructional days. We will run our second camp, our July camp out at Camp Adventure. That's an MCS sponsored camp, and that is for our current 3rd and 4th graders. That will be July 10th to the 27th, a Monday through Thursday camp. And then again, no cost for our students, and we'll cover that through the IDOE summer school grant. And now for some of our partnerships that we're offering, we're again going to partner with Susanna Benko and Ball State to do some writing camps, the journalism camp and journalism multi-genre writing camp at Ball State, and you see the dates there. There is no cost for our students because it's typically a cost, but they're going to cover that through their learning loss grants they were awarded through the Indiana Department of Education. MP3, we'll again have the MP3 that will continue this year at Longfellow, and that's for our Longfellow students. Students entering grades K through 3 will have an opportunity to get a kickstart to the school year from July 10th to the 28th, and that camp is covered through the BSU grant. Our YMCA day camp, that's a little different than it was last year. Last year, we just had the Grissom Gold Camp, and this year they have going to more traditional day camps like they run out of their facility, but we will we will partner with them to run that out of Grissom and Northview. There are fees to that, as not covered through a Ball State grant. There are fees to that, and they'll work with the individual families for members and non-members. It's a tiered system based on member and non-membership, and then days of the week that, or the number of days in a week that they need day camp.
And Chuck, if I might, we're partnering with Reading Futures, who give the intensive reading support that they will be providing that to 60 students in probably grades 1, 2, and 3 that are participating in that wide program. And that will be for a minimum of an hour each day, 5 days a week throughout the summer. So we believe we'll really be able to help some of those students come back and be on level for us.
And then again, we'll partner with the Boys and Girls Club to have their summer camp. We've traditionally hosted that at Southside. This year, we've asked if we could move that to the MAC on Elgin Street. We have that space ready to go. Did a walkthrough with the Boys and Girls Club. They were excited about the space and the grounds and that location. So that's typically at Southside. We're going to have those folks going to be at Elgin Street this summer. And that's typically their typical Boys and Girls Club summer camp, and their fees are pretty minimal, and those are paid to the Boys and Girls Club, and you can also work with them for scholarships as well. And then Motivate Our Minds summer camp. We're going to host that at Longfellow from June 12th through July 14th. Moms Always offers a camp. It's a little more targeted this year. I'm going to again partner with them to be housed at Longfellow so they can have a little larger enrollment. They're still working on some transportation costs. We're going to partner with Chartwells for their meals, And then no cost for students. Again, they're going to work with the Ball State Learning Loss Grant to fund those.
What kind of numbers would that look like?
She did not give me a cap on the numbers. I hate to even guess, but yeah. So our middle school camp, we will have our orientation camp again to get those kids kick-started for their new life in middle school. That will be from July 31st to August 3rd. We will partner with Project Leadership to help provide some of those life skills, school skills that they work on, and then the basic, transitioning to a secondary, figuring out a locker, how to go through the lunch lines, and how to pass the class, those types of things. So that we'll offer those again at both North and South Side. And then our partnerships this summer, we have the journalism and the multi-genre writing camp, just like the elementary, for 6th through 8th grade. At Ball State, they'll have the opportunity to do that at no cost, just like the elementary folks through the Learning Loss Grant. Middle school, we have a young mathematicians exploration camp, June 19th to 23rd. If parents want full-day camps, they can sign up for both the journalism camp and the young mathematician camp, and they will be out there all day. They will have both of those camps have door-to-door transportation through Ball State and their Learning Loss Grant, and meals are included there on campus. It's we didn't have a lot of participation last year from our kiddos, but again, it's a really terrific opportunity. Andrew Gatza is our PDS liaison for our secondary math folks, and he leads this charge. So he is well versed in our curriculum and our student needs, and offering great educational opportunities for our kiddos. We'll again offer newcomers camp at the middle school, and we'll house that at Northside, May 30th through the 27th for 6th through 8th graders. Again, Kelsey will help oversee that and make sure that we have folks in place ready to go. And again, the summer camp through the Boys and Girls Club, that will either be at the Bewley Center or the South Madison Street location. And they said they're up to 75 members, and again, cost fees paid to the Boys and Girls Club and will be covered as scholarships if needed. And Girls STEM Camp, so we have a STEM opportunity that we've worked with Dr. Crystal for the last few years, trying to just find additional STEM opportunities. So that camp is on the Ball State campus at the Foundational Science Building. That runs for 2 weeks, June 12th to the 23rd, and students entering 6th through 8th grade. And again, no cost through for the students through a Learning Loss Grant. Motivate Our Minds, again, for middle schools, they go up through 8th grade, so those students will have the opportunity. They're at Longfellow, just like our elementary students, again, working on transportation still to finalize those deals, but meals will be provided. Again, we'll partner with Chartwells. All right, our high school offerings. High school offerings, okay, so this gets a little, there's a lot of offerings here, but we're really excited about everything that we can offer for the high school kids again. We offer our Push to Graduation, which is the last day of school up into graduation. I think there were kids working diligently up into commencement last year. I saw a couple of run in at Worthen Arena, but so they will have the full opportunity of the courses to make that final push to graduation. We usually have 1 or 2 teachers that will support that, both in person all day and blended if needed, and no cost to students, and we'll cover our costs through the IDOE Summer School Learning Grant. Again, in-person opportunities, we're going to offer in-person PE. We didn't have enough numbers to run that last year, but we're hoping that we could have that run this year. And then of course, we have summer marching band, which is probably the most important thing that we offer. for our students. Maybe a little biased, but again, just a terrific opportunity for our kids. They will, I think they start actually next week with a parent meeting and then rehearsals in May and in full swing in the summertime. They think they have a couple of weeks embedded in their schedule off in the summertime, but they'll be out there all summer working. Our CHS Summer Academy. So we offer 2 sessions, 2 4-week sessions of online opportunities for our students. For the most part, students take advantage of that as a credit recovery opportunity, but in other instances, it's an opportunity for students just to get ahead and maybe have some more flexibility in their schedule, maybe to go to the MAC a half day, something like that. But again, we will have at least 2 teachers. Sometimes we have staffed with 3 that first session, but typically it's a 2 teacher opportunity for those students. Again, that's an in-person and blended approach, kind of depending on the situation, where students will have the opportunity to come in to get in-person help, but once they're having some success, they tend to work from home a lot. Freshman launch. So we kind of package these opportunities together as a freshman launch into their 9th grade year. We encourage those students to take in-person PE or in-person biology, and then algebra or Spanish if they've had those opportunities in middle school but didn't get that credit earned, maybe didn't do well on the final or didn't maintain a C average in those 2 semesters. So we really try to target freshmen and get them with a specific teacher if they have an online class, and of course the in-person biology or PE, just to get them connected and earning credits and building relationships before they even start that freshman year. Again, we're going to partner with the Indiana Online Academy. So the Indiana Online Academy offers some of those dual credits and more advanced classes that we do not offer with our Apex Online catalog of classes. Typically, we usually have a few students take that. Last year we didn't, but typically we have a few students take that. It is pretty self-guided and arranged with the individual student, parent, and the counselor to get the kid enrolled in the appropriate course. And there is a special carve-out in the IDOE summer school grant that will cover those partnership course costs. We will offer our Bearcat Orientation Camp. That is just a short 2-day camp. We always have great participation at that camp. We typically have half of our freshmen show up and participate in those opportunities. Take a tour of the school, try out the lockers, go through the beautiful cafeteria, but also we partner with Project Leadership on those high school skills to be successful. And then we usually go out for a camp adventure for a team building afternoon as well. So that's those are great days. Again, no cost to students for that, and we will cover those through the Indiana Summer School Grant. And then, like the middle school, we'll have a youth math camp for our young mathematicians. Again, at the Robert Bell Building for that week. In the high school, journalism and multi-genre writing camps with Susanna Benko, and of course our newcomers camp, just like our other levels for our families new to us. And again, our partnership camp with the Summer Boys and Girls Club, and then our Summer Girls STEM camp that will run through high school. So they'll have those opportunities middle school through high school. So like a few years ago, we started to post these opportunities online. We, aside from the iRead3 camp, which they do in-house, we'll post all of these online. We'll have links. We'll send flyers home, but very accessible and easy to read through our website. You click on, get to the link, you can click on the activity you want, takes you typically to a Google form to get you enrolled in whatever activity or summer camp you'd like to attend.
And Chuck, we'll amend this a little to put reading futures in with the YMCA, just so that
Right.
because we'll be funding some of that to make sure.
Yep.
Okay, so is your recommendation that we move to approve these summer school offerings?
Yep.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Dr. Reynolds.
Thank you.
It's wonderful.
I
Sure.
got one after she's done.
Is there a way, maybe, you know how we have the pop-up on the website right now for registration? Is there a way for this to be the pop-up that replaces that after registration? That way it's really easy for qualifying thing. And then, so I read the very first elementary camp that we did that one. The other one explicitly said that one did, so I just wanted to check.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yep.
I
And
wasn't hungry trying to.
nope. Hangry kids are not good. And I met with Stephanie about all. I went through all of the opportunities. So she's waiting the green light for
And then
tonight.
I want to just give thanks to the George and Francis Ball Foundation, who provide funding for us to provide incentives to get kids to attend and to keep them encouraged to attend regularly.
I will say that I've had multiple kids stop me this year saying how much fun they had at summer camp last year because of all the prizes we passed out. So we're still talking about it, and I still have them, and they're really excited.
Good to know.
Leanne running around Target with the shopping.
I know. I've been caught a few times.
Thank you all for all the hard work putting together.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason that our students and families.
And take advantage
It's
of it.
amazing. I mean, this is a lot of offerings.
The opportunities for kids are incredible.
But the one that seems to resonate with me is the orientation for the sixth graders. You mentioned percentages for ninth graders, but that's such a big transition. What's your participation level?
It's not as good as the high school. So typically at Northside, I guess for the last 2 years, we've had about 100 to 120. At Southside, we've ranged from 40 to 75 students.
What can we offer? Free candy or something?
That's part of the incentives. And ice cream cones too.
And ice cream, whatever it takes, pizza.
Do you know, we just have to keep trying to reach our families to help them. And that's where it takes the community also to share about these good experiences and to encourage people to participate.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, that's great.
Pardon me? Mucinex, yeah. Any immediate inquiries? Okay, anybody have anything further before we wrap up? Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So, very strong. Second. Second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah.